Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 9th of November and welcome to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, in the today's video, we are going to discuss the entire Hindu newspaper analysis. We'll discuss the articles with the background and we will see the way forward also in the articles wherever it is relevant. Now, before starting up, I would like to tell you that you can download the explainer PDF. In this explainer PDF, we will be getting the GS quotation, then all the articles that are there which are relevant for the exam. It has been their notes have been given here, fine, and in the last the mains practice question has also been given. You can download these explainer PDFs from the Telegram channel. The link for the channel has been given in description box in YouTube. Moreover, you can visit the Telegram and can search the channel by typing Thinking Palette by Sahil. There also you'll get the channel. Now, before starting up, let's see the overview of the entire newspaper so that we can understand that actually what articles are important and what is their placement in the newspaper. So here we have the first page. The Kerala High Court offers interim relief to the Vice Chancellors. So we'll see this particular article, that what has come, and with respect to the clashes going on between government and the governor, we'll take that particular thing also. Then guys, further moving on, Nicobar project gets assent for diversion of 130 square kilometer of forest. Okay, so basically guys, recently what happened, a mega project was announced for the Great Nicobar Island, fine, which includes a port, airport, a power plant, and a kind of a township. Now this particular thing was criticized because it was said that the rich and the lush forest will be taken up, but now the project has been given a kind of a clearance. Guys, understand this particular thing, that these kind of a things, for example, that basically a go ahead has been given. You don't need to go too much into the details, but these kind of things can be used as an example. For example, there is a debate of environment and development, environment versus development. So often government prioritize the development over the environment, but that is not correct. We need to have a balance. So there such kind of examples can be given. Then guys, moving on, there are these advertisements, etc. In the regional section, the regional issues, etc. has been given. Political issues not important for the examination, fine. So moving on in this particular direction guys, and we reach to the editorial page. No consensus in derailing counter-terror diplomacy. We'll see good article with respect to exam. Agnipat's direction, again we'll see the article what it is containing. Then guys, unnecessary signal. Now the article is talking about the COP27 as what the COP27 should focus. However, the COP27 has already started and it will continue, fine, till the 18th. Now understand this particular thing guys, that every day you don't need to follow that, okay, what was said yesterday, what was said today. Actually, when this entire thing will be culminated, then all the key takeaways that have come, we'll see all of them very comprehensively. Then the saffron strides, political article not important. Content moderation through co-regulation, we'll see this particular article. The BJP's Karnataka challenge, not important article, political. Andheri East, not on, fine. Then the Supreme Court order onto the PF pensions, okay. Then should the age of consent be changed for the adolescents? So there are certain developments that have happened. We'll see this article. Fine. Then guys, this is an archives article. Archives article means that this article has been published earlier. So the article is talking about the controversy going on between the Raj Bhavan and the government. So government versus governor controversy is there. Okay. We'll see this particular article briefly because there is already article onto the front page that has come. Center alludes to foreign origin in its affidavit on Dalit Christian Muslims. So guys, the issue of the Dalit converts is there, which has come in this particular article. We'll see that what's provided here. Then further moving on, chiefs of the Indian France Air Force join ongoing Garuda air exercise. Okay, so by basically guys, this Garuda air exercise is going on into the Jodhpur. Then moving on in this particular direction, a new law panel might examine the demand for the uniform civil code. Fine. So just a couple of days back also we have discussed the uniform civil code, which proposes that all the communities, they need to have a uniform civil code. Uniform civil code will deal with the four things, that is the marriage, adoption, inheritance and divorce. Okay, so now the recently constituted law commission will go in that particular direction. Then the political article, not important. Electoral bond amendment makes the mockery of the transparency. We'll see the article. Then India ready to help de-risk Ukraine situation, Jaishankar tells Russia. Okay. Then the UN chief slams companies engaging in toxic cover-up. So basically guys, the UN chief has said this thing, that often the companies, they come and they say that they will become carbon neutral by 2025, by 2030, but actually at the same time they are using a lot of fossil fuels. Because of their expansion, they are cutting a lot of trees, deforestation, etc. is going on. So it has been said that it is a bogus propaganda often which is spread by the corporates just to get the favorable customer sentiments. So it should not be there. Rather, the genuine the carbon neutrality is to be achieved. Then midterm polls in the US, not important. Then banks pricing risk poorly in rush to get deposit. We'll see this particular article with respect to the exam as what it is talking about. Then further moving on, after that, basically Reliance India Limited's Mid City. Fine. And then there are the corporate trends, etc. that has been given. Not important article with respect to these corporate trends. Fine. Where the Sensex is going on and all such kind of a thing is not to be very much seen. Then the sports page. Okay, so this is, guys, the overview of the entire newspaper, and now let's see all these articles one by one in the detail. Okay, so let's start. Every class we take a GS quotation, and this quotation can be complemented with your answers in the GS paper number 1, 2, 3, 4. So today we'll take the quotation from the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar says, unlike a drop of water which loses its identity when it joins the ocean, man doesn't loses his being in the society in which he lives. Man is not born for the development of the society alone, but for the development of his self as well. Okay, so guys, when we see an ocean, fine, an ocean is made up of infinite number of water droplets, but we are not able to identify an individual droplet when we see the entire pool of ocean. Okay, so when the water droplet mixes with the ocean, the droplet's identity is lost. But that is not in the case of man. When man joins the society, man becomes a part of a society, but still the man's individualisms, man's own independence stays there. That is a very important aspect of the human existence. When we talk about the man is not only born for the development of society. It means that man has not only to follow the social customs, the social traditions, or the social institutions that are there. Only that is not something which man has to serve. Man also needs to look for the development of their self. Now, when we talk about the development of their self, their own ethical development, their own moral development, their own upliftment, cognitive upliftment, this is also that the man needs to focus. Okay, so this is, guys, a very impactful quotation. We can use this particular quotation into the answers related to the social justice, in GS paper number 2, as well as in the essay. This particular quotation can be utilized. So that is all about it. And now let's take the first article. Okay, should the age of consent be changed for the adolescents? Now, this particular article we have taken from the text and the context page, and this particular article, guys, will see with respect to the GS paper number 2, within the GS paper number 2 social justice, and within the social justice issues related to children, Now, let's discuss this particular article, and guys, actually will not just go in this article, will also be discussing some surrounding issues, because this is a very, very important topic. Okay, now let's take. Fine, so let's take first of all some background. So basically, guys, the background goes something like this, that when we talk about the children, now children are particularly more vulnerable on many factors. Why children are vulnerable? Understand, number one factor is that the children have low bargaining power. Why they have low bargaining power? Because of limited physical strength and because of limited cognitive factors. Now, cognitive factors means many a times they don't understand the implication of certain type of behavior that is being done to them. They don't understand, okay, many a times when they are getting exploited. Fine, so there is a cognitive limitation, they don't understand, there is a lack of physical strength, so their bargaining power gets reduced. Second thing is that, guys, when we talk about the children, often the social economic status of the parents will also determine the vulnerability of the children. Okay, and if that in that case the parents are poor, if the parents belong to the lower strata of the society, their children will become more vulnerable. So parents status exacerbates the vulnerability of the children. And again, guys, thirdly, it is that the children, they have the special needs, and if these special needs are not met, again the children's vulnerability will be exacerbated, it will be enhanced. So I told you that the children are vulnerable, and the biggest vulnerability that poses itself onto the children is the sexual abuse, of the children. So in order to deal with the sexual abuse of the children, we need to have special laws. Moreover, India has also been the signatory of International Convention on the Rights of the Children. We have ratified that. Fine. So India needs to protect the children from sexual abuse. Now, earlier we have the provisions in the IPC. Fine. For example, Section 376 was there, which dealt with the rape. Section 377 was there, which dealt with the unnatural sex. Okay. But what happened? Government realized that these laws specifically doesn't cater to the children. So therefore, government came with the POXO, Fine, Protection of the Children from Sexual Offences Act 2012. And in the POXO, it has been provided, number one, that any individual who is less than 18 years of age will be called as the child. And any sexual activity, any sexual interaction with this particular person who is less than the 18 years of age, it will not be allowed. A person cannot give the consent before the age of 18. So it means that if, let's say, a person of 17 years of age even has involved in the sexual intercourse after giving the consent, let's say a girl has involved, then that particular consent will not count, and then the person who has made such sexual intercourse will be charged for the rape. That person will be charged for the rape. Okay, guys, in the POXO Act, there are much stringent punishments that have been given. So the jail term of the 7 years and more, life imprisonment, and even in certain categories, the death penalty is also there. For example, if the rape of a child of less than 12 years of age is done, then it might lead to the death penalty also. So POXO, it is a very stringent kind of a law that is there. Okay, now good thing. But guys, understand this particular thing, that sometimes the policies that are created with good intentions might itself become the source of the social injustice. I just want to give you two examples in this particular direction. First of all, guys, what had happened? It has been observed into the matters of the tribal people. It has been observed into the matters of tribal people. Particularly, we can take the example of the Toda tribe living in the Nilgiris. Toda tribe living in the Nilgiris. Now, there, they have a kind of a custom, they have a kind of a practice where the tribals marry early, and because they marry early, even the women in the Toda tribe, they get pregnant early, somewhere around the 16 or 17 years of age. Now, when these women reach to the hospitals, doctors, nurses, and when the doctors come to know that a woman of a 17-year-old is pregnant, then what they do, they report the matter to the police. They report to the matter to the police that this 17-year-old girl cannot give the consent. She had become a pregnant. Okay, so the male who was involved in the sexual intercourse with that woman is to be arrested onto the charge of rape. Why? Because that particular person has violated the POXO. But guys, actually, the male who had carried the sexual intercourse was the husband of that woman, and this particular person is now arrested, and therefore these tribals are languishing into the jail. Now what the problem comes? The problem comes is this, that we never actually educated these tribals. They don't even know that this is a crime, and what they are doing, they are simply living as per their traditions and the customs. The marriage is as per their customs and traditions, and now they are getting arrested. So what it is happening? It is making them more vulnerable. Second example, guys, second example is this, that actually even the adolescents, they most of the time don't know that there is any kind of POXO law that exists. And the boys and girls at the age of 16 years, 17 years, they are in some relationships that they are involved, and they also sometimes get involved into the sexual relationships. Okay, and then what happens? The boy is most of the times, when the girl's parents come to know that such a kind of a thing has happened, even when the consent is given by the girl, that boy is arrested, is charged of the rape, and is put into the jail. So actually what is happening, the adolescents who don't know about this particular law, they are getting arrested. The tribal people, they are suffering. So therefore, in the POXO, the age of consent that has been given 18 years, we need to consider that particular thing. It should not be a kind of a omnibus kind of a rule. Fine, it needs to be reconsidered. That is something which has been provided. Now, what this article is talking about, so recently in this particular direction, there is some kind of a development that has happened. Now the development goes like this, that actually recently the Karnataka High Court has heard the matter. And the Karnataka High Court has provided this particular thing, that we need to rethink the age criteria, that is the age of 18 years, which has been provided into the POXO Act. The Supreme Court is, the Karnataka High Court provide this particular thing, that we need to take in consideration the ground realities. What ground realities? Two ground realities. Adolescents getting arrested, they don't know. And second ground reality is the tribals are suffering because of that particular thing. Now, it has been provided that the aspect of a consent of a girl of 16 years needs to be considered. So Karnataka High Court has provided this particular thing, that actually we need to consider this particular age, and they have recommended the matter to the Law Commission, that you please discuss this particular matter and think that if in certain categories the age of consent can be reduced to 16 years or not. Fine, this is something that it has been provided. Now, basically it's guys, actually there was a report that was released just a couple of years back, and the name of the report I am highlighting here was Why Girls Run Away to Marry, Adolescent Realities and Social Legal Responses in India. Now, this particular report was published by the Partners for Law in Development, and what they have provided, they provided this particular thing, that many a number of times, what is happening. See, suppose this is a girl, okay, this is a girl and this is a boy. Let's say that the girl's age is 17, and let's say the boy's age is 19. Now, both of them, let's say, were involved in some kind of a relationship, okay, and if the parents were not allowing them that relationships, if parent did not wanted them to get married, what happens? Often the boy will be charged that he had carried the sexual intercourse with this girl, and because the girl is 17 years of age, even when the girl has given the consent, that consent will not count, and the boy is punished. Boy is charged of the rape, and that boy languishes into the jail. Even many number of times when the elopements are there, when the girls are running away with the boys, in those elopements also the boys are being charged. Guys, actually there is one particular word to explain this particular kind of thing. You can use this particular word, that it is the weaponization. It is the weaponization of the social laws. It is the weaponization of social laws, to settle the family honor, This is something that is happening. Now, guys, it leads to injustice. Moreover, in 2021, there was a judgment, that was the Vijay Lakshmi versus state rep case. And in this particular judgment, the Madras High Court very clearly provided this particular thing, that under the POXO Act, the age of consent can be redefined at 16 instead of 18. Okay, so in this particular capacity, the girls who are in the age of 16.5, 17 years, etc., if they are giving the consent, their consent will actually count. It will not be called as a rape. Fine. So therefore, these particular kind of things are needed to be considered. Fine. We should not have this omnibus rule that every time it will apply. So these are the matters that are coming, and a very important point, please remember the name of this particular report. Please remember the name of the Madras High Court judgment, and recent when the Karnataka High Court has also raised this particular matter. So guys, this is a very, very important article for the social justice. I hope that you have understood about it. Is it clear? So guys, next, moving to the next article. Okay, and guys, meanwhile, if you think that the video is helping you out, okay, actually it takes a lot of hard work to make the video, so please like the video if you are liking it. Now, moving on to the next article. Before that, let's take some of the doubt if they are there. Sir, what to do in these cases, especially in tribal matters, other than reducing the age? We need to empower them, we need to educate them, we need to make them aware about the legal laws, etc., that are existing. POXO talks about gender neutrality, then how if both minors involved in sexual activity, it leads to the arrest of boy only. Guys, see this particular thing, that actually there are two things. Number one, often in these particular kind of a matters, boy actually falls above the 18 years, 18.5, 19 years. This is one thing that happens. Secondly, guys, in this particular matter, the POXO Act provides that if sexual intercourse has been done irrespective of the age, then the person will be charged for the POXO. So even if the boy is less, fine, then also the boy can be charged because the intercourse has been carried by the boy. Fine, that is something. Okay, now Coming to this particular matter, Kerala High Court offers interim relief to vice chancellors. Now, this is, guys, this is a kind of an issue that is going on into the news from the past so many of the days. Let's discuss that what it is all about. Fine. Now, guys, actually, what has happened? What has first of all, this article will be important in GS paper number 2. GS paper number 2. Fine. Federal issues. Federal issues. Okay, within the polity also we'll see that, and I will be telling you some of the articles related to the governor's office, so that is also something which can be seen with respect to the exam. Okay, prelims exam. So guys, recently a controversy has happened, and the controversy was something like this, that the Kerala governor has asked the vice chancellors of 9 universities that they should resign. Okay, he had asked the chancellors. Now understand this particular thing, that these chancellors refused to resign. Then the governor has again asked them, you should resign. Now the point is coming, that on what ground the governor is asking them to resign, because it has been provided very clearly into the constitution that the governor has to act on to the aid and advice given by the government. Okay, that is something that is happening. So basically guys, first of all, let's understand this entire issue, and then we'll be going into the implications of this particular article. So what has happened? What has happened? The Kerala, what has happened? So basically, the issue starts from here. So Supreme Court annulled the appointment of the Vice Chancellor of the APJ Abdul Kalam Technological University. Now why? Because guys, when the Vice Chancellor of the APJ Abdul Kalam Technological University was appointed, he was appointed onto the basis of the recommendation of a search committee. On the basis of the recommendation of the search committee, Supreme Court provided this particular thing, that this search committee which recommended the VC was not constituted as per the UGC regulation. So therefore, whatever the recommendation has given by the search committee, those recommendations are not correct, not valid. So Supreme Court annulled the appointment of VC. Okay, that is one thing that happened. Now it motivated the Kerala's governor, and Kerala's governor said that all the VCs in all the universities who have been appointed onto the basis of the recommendation of the search committee, all of them should resign. All of them should resign. Okay, so that is something that happened. So there, guys, here you can see Supreme Court sets aside appointment. Then governor demands the resignation of the 9 VCs. Said that Supreme Court had said this thing. Then when they, now guys, here the government said to these VCs that you might not resign because we have not recommended the governor that you should issue any order. Okay, fine. Then the governor, when he found that actually these VCs have not resigned up till now, he had sent those VCs the show cause notice, that why you have not resigned up till now. Then guys, this particular matter has reached to the Karnataka High Court. Karnataka High Court. And Karnataka High Court had said that these VCs can continue till the Karnataka High Court will be deciding on this particular matter. Is it clear or not? So what has happened now? Okay, sorry guys, I used the name Karnataka High Court. Sorry, it was a mistake. Kerala High Court. So the Kerala High Court, now what it has done, Kerala High Court has restrained the governor Arif Muhammad and had said that he cannot pass the final orders and he needs not to order the suspension of them. We will decide this particular matter. So this is, guys, the entire controversy that has happened. Now actually the question comes that is governor really empowered to do these particular kind of things? Now government had said that yes, governor is empowered. Governor says that he is empowered because in line of the recent Supreme Court judgment, governor says that he is issuing these particular kind of orders. But if we read the Constitution of India, we'll find some other kind of provisions also. So guys, these are some additional points that we have covered here. So basically, there are 2 of the articles. Number 1 is the article number 164. Article 164 provides that the ministers will hold the office during the pleasure of the governor. So governor actually holds the pleasure. Governor actually is empowered to extend the pleasure and can withdraw the pleasure. So governor holds the power. Now actually guys, on this particular thing also there was the controversy happened into the Kerala few days back. What happened? Kerala governor recently provided this particular thing that if any minister will lower the dignity of the office of the governor, they will invite the action and the pleasure will be withdrawn by the governor. So indirectly governor is saying this particular thing that governor will even order the resignation of the ministers who lower down the dignity of the office. Okay, so I told you here that article 164 provides that they'll hold office till the pleasure of governor. So governor there also threatened this thing. Fine. So all of these things have happened. Now guys, article 163 simply provides that the council of minister must aid and advise the governor, must aid and advise the governor. However, article 163(2) provides that governor can act in his discretion in certain matters permitted by the constitution. Now guys, actually what are these matters permitted by the constitutions? These are the constitutional situations actually. What are the constitutional situations? When a government has lost the majority, in that matter the governor can issue the decision in his or her own discretion. But in the Kerala, the government has not lost the majority. Okay. So the point is that in that particular case, governor has only to act as per the aid and advice of the council of minister and the chief minister. But now what is happening? The governor is issuing the order at his own. Okay, the order of removal of the VCs has been passed on his own. And guys, when he said that the minister's pleasure will be withdrawn, there also the council of minister has not recommended, and these kind of things are being done at that own. Now understand this particular thing guys, that there is actually one of a Supreme Court judgment also, and the judgment is Shamsher Singh versus State of Punjab. And in this Shamsher Singh State of Punjab, Supreme Court clearly provided that governor has no right to refuse to act on the advice of the council of minister. Here the council of ministers are not giving any kind of an advice, and still governor is acting. So this entire issue is also becoming a kind of an constitutional crisis. Fine. And why it is becoming a kind of a federal issue guys? Because you see this particular thing that governor is most of the time is called as the agent of the central government. Okay, and at the same time when the state governments are being ruled by the different political parties, there the governor becomes a source of friction, because governor most of the time upholds the interest of the central government where different political party is ruling, and the state government is being ruled by the different political party. So this is something that has happened. So that is all guys about this particular article. I hope that you have understood this article, and now we'll move to the next article. Okay, center alludes to foreign origin in its affidavit on Dalit Christians Muslims. Okay, now actually guys, first of all, the newspapers, they write the headings in such a kind of a way that the UPSC aspirant knows that a common man, sorry, UPSC aspirant anyhow might be knowing, but the common man knows everything. Okay, fine. I don't know why they don't use the simple headings. Anyhow, we have used a simpler heading. The heading is the SC status to Dalit converts. This is the issue. Now, this particular issue will be discussed as with respect to the GS paper number 2, GS paper number 2, social justice, matters of affirmative action, or reservation, you can say. But let's now discuss this article. So basically, before going in this particular article, guys, I would like to give you some of a background that has happened. Okay, and we have discussed this particular issue earlier also. In case if you have forgotten, you'll revise it. Okay. Now the background is like this, that actually guys, there are the Dalit people who have faced untouchability, who have faced atrocities, historical injustice in the past. Now these Dalit people, they have been given the status of the scheduled caste, and by the virtue of the scheduled caste, they are given the reservation in government jobs, in the educational institution. Fine. So the SC status is given. Now the SC status have been given to the Dalit as per the constitution order, of 1950. Now the constitution order of 1950 only provided that the scheduled caste people will be recognized from the Dalit community within the Hindus. That's it. Okay, that happened. However, guys, over the period of time, there is a particular kind of a demand that has been made, that what about the Dalits who are converting to other religion? For example, a person was a Dalit and the person was given the SC status. Okay, but what if this person converted to another religion? After conversion, that particular person's SC status will stay or will not stay. Okay, so originally it was provided that only the people who are Hindus and who are Dalit, they can claim the SC status. If they have converted to other religion, their Dalit status will go away. But over the years, the center government has brought certain kind of changes in this particular thing. For example, what happened in 1956? In 1956, the central government provided this particular thing, that if a Dalit has converted to Sikhism, if the Dalit has converted to the Sikhism, even after conversion into the Sikhism, the SC status will continue. The SC status will continue. Then, guys, the next event came in 1990. In 1990, what happened? In 1990, it was provided that if a Dalit person has converted to Buddhism, after the Buddhism, that particular person's SC status will continue. So today, the SC status is given to the Hindus. It is given to the Dalits who converted to Sikhism. Not all, only the one who converted to Sikhism. Dalits who converted. Second, third, the Dalits who converted to Buddhism. So three communities are included. Now, from the time to time, there have been the demands that is being made, that why you have not included the Dalit who converted to Christianity and Dalit who had got converted to Islam. The Dalit who had converted to Islam. Why you don't have given them? It is leading to a kind of an inequality. So these particular kind of demands are being made. Now, guys, just understand this particular thing. Into the past, many commissions have also recommended that they should actually be given. And we have the commissions, for example, Rangnath Mishra Commission. We have Rangnath Mishra Commission in this particular direction. Okay. Fine, we have a high powered panel that has suggested this particular thing. Fine, and multiple other committees are also there. I'll not be going in too much into that particular thing. Fine, so Rangnath Mishra Commission had suggested that please give them. Why you are not giving it? Now, recently, this matter was raised by the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court also asked that why you have not given them this SC status. So, in this particular direction, guys, the government has given certain justifications, and these justifications we are going to discuss here. Why? Because in this justification, there is one twin test of classification that has been discussed, which can be an important topic in the polity-related issues. Okay. Now, first of all, let's understand this particular article. Okay. Guys, actually what has happened, the government has provided this particular thing, that when we talk about the fundamental rights, within the fundamental rights there is the right to equality that has been provided. Article 14 to 18 talks about the right to equality, and therefore inequality cannot happen. That is fine, correct. But government provided this thing, that when we read the article number 14, Article number 14 forbids the class legislation. You cannot divide the people in the classes, but it does not forbids the classification. Okay, like should be treated like, alike should be treated alike. Okay, if the people are differently placed, then the different treatment can be given. It is a kind of an exception within the article number 14. Again, I am explaining, if the people are having different circumstances, then they can be treated differently. So, guys, the Supreme Court, the government is providing into the Supreme Court that we are dealing the scheduled caste people who converted to Sikhism and Buddhism differently, and the Dalit people who converted into the Christianity and Islam separately, because Article 14 provides for that particular scope. Now, within the article number 14, there is a twin test of classification that has been given. Now, what is this twin test of classification? It very simple word. It says that if you are going to treat people differently, two conditions are needed to be met. Condition number one, that basically the classification should be based on some intelligible differentia. Intelligible differentia. It should not be based on any kind of a stereotype, prejudices, hatredness, or any arbitrariness. The ground that, okay, why you treated this group separately and that group separately, there needs to be a very clear, intelligible ground of differentiation. Second thing they have provided, that differentiation must have a rational relation to the objectives sought. Fine. If you have done the differentiations, okay, fine. you will give some logic that why you are treating these groups differentiately. Fine, so that particular differentiation should have a rational justification also. These are two conditions that have been provided. Now government provided that actually when they have treated the Dalits who converted to Sikhism and Buddhism separately and the Dalit who converted to Islam and Christianity separately, it is actually an intelligent differentiation that they have adopted. They provide this particular thing that actually there are the local contributions, fine, there are the local contributions to the sector and then there are the foreign contributions. In a way, the government has provided this particular thing that when we talk about the Buddhism and the Sikhism, these are actually the offshoots of the Hinduism. This is government's viewpoint. It is the offshoot of the Hinduism, and actually Buddhism and Sikhism are both the native religions of India. But Christianity and Islam, these are the foreign religions. These are the Abrahamic religions. These religions are not native to the India and they have come from the outside. So therefore, when the native religions are there and when the religions came outside from the country are there, then there can be the different treatment. It is an intelligent classification that the government has provided. Moreover, government has provided that when we talk about the scheduled caste people who converted to Buddhism, they embraced Buddhism on the call given by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Okay, so Dr. B.R. Ambedkar changed to Buddhism in the Nagpur. Okay, Dharm Parivartan happened. So on the calls, the many of the Buddhists also after that changed to the many of the scheduled caste people changed to the Buddhism, and then finally in 1990 they were recognized. Okay, keep it in your mind. Fine. Then guys, it has been provided that by, however, when we talk about the Christian and Muslims, okay, and now the people who converted to Christianity and Muslim, there are some other reasons for that particular thing. There are some other grounds for that particular thing. Fine. This is something that has been provided. Now guys, secondly, what has happened, government has also constituted recently the 3-member commission, that is the KG Balakrishnan Commission. Okay. Now I'll just discuss about the KG Balakrishnan Commission, but before that I have one thing I want to tell you. Basically guys, in this particular article, what is being done, the government's affidavit that they has presented into the Supreme Court is being scrutinized a lot. For example, on first page they provided this, then on the second paragraph they provided this, then if we compare the second paragraph with the second page, that unnecessary comparison is not needed because we don't need to study the law. We are studying it for the exam point of view. So we need to understand the crux of this particular issue, the twin test that is being given, because these kind of things, for example, twin test can even be asked into the prelims examination in polity related questions. Okay, so this is something that government has given the justification. And now what is happening presently, what is the aftermath of all that particular thing? So government constituted the 3-member commission, that is the KG Balakrishnan Commission, and this KG Balakrishnan Commission has been asked that in the next 2 years, that is by 2024, they will study that whether the intelligible differentiation exists between the Dalits who are practicing Hinduism, Sikhism and Buddhism and those who converted to Islam and Christianity. Government gave their own view and they have also asked that you also tell that whether there is intelligent differentiation or not. And they have provided that how a person's backwardness is impacted when a person changes their religion. That is also something that is to be seen. So these 2 tasks has been given to the KG Balakrishnan Commission, and for 2 years this particular matter has been kept there on the side and the commission will now investigate the matter. So this is guys the entire issue that has happened. I hope you understood it, and now we'll move to the next article. No consensus in derailing counter-terror diplomacy. Now what this particular article is talking about, this article is talking about the contributions that India had given for countering the terrorism at the global stage. So this article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2, India's contribution to counter the terrorism, international relation, India's contribution into the international groupings. Fine, international groupings. Now, actually guys, recently what has happened, India had hosted the Counter-Terrorism Committee under the United Nations Security Council. Now this counter-terrorism committee meet held in the Mumbai as well as in Delhi. And if you remember, we have discussed also this counter-terrorism committee meet when it happened. Fine. Just I think last week we have discussed it. Now, India has always played a very important role in countering the terrorism. Recently, even the Minister of External Affairs said this thing, that terrorism is the gravest threat that the humanity is facing. So, India has always played a very important role. Now, when we talk about this CTC, that is the Counter Terrorism Committee, it is under the United Nations Security Council, and it was constituted in 2001 because 9/11 attacks, the attacks onto the World Trade Center, the attacks onto the Twin Towers into the USA happened at that point of a time. Now, the theme the theme of the CTC, which was held in 2022 in India, the theme was countering the use of the new and emerging technologies for the terrorist purpose. So terrorists are using the emerging technologies. They are using the bitcoins for finance raising. They are using the drone technologies. They are using the internet technologies for their vested purposes, for wrong reasons. So how to counter that thing? It was the theme of the CTC that happened. Now, when we talk about this UNCTC committee, it has 15 members in it. Who are the 15 members? The five permanent members of the UNSC, five permanent members of the UNSC, that is China, France, Russia, UK, US, and 10 non-permanent members. So in the UNSC, 15 members are there, and all these 15 members will be the participant into the CTC. Right now, India is in the category of the non-permanent membership. India got the non-permanent membership for the 2 years, which will expire by the end of this year. And this is the eighth time that India became the non-permanent member in the UNSC. So in this particular capacity, India is hosting this CTC meet, and this is the first time that the CTC meet has held in the India. Now, guys, when we talk about the New Delhi, basically the India, we are also going to host, apart from the CTC, no money for terror conference, and this particular thing will see this particular matter, that how the funding for the terrorist organizations can be curbed. This no money for terror conference, it will be organized by the Financial Intelligence Unit, which is a grouping of 100 countries. They are also called as the Ingmont Group. Now, this is something which can be important for your prelims examination. For example, they'll say that the Ingmont Group has been recently into the news. What it is? Fine. Done. After this, okay, CTC is there, no money for terror meet is there. Then, guys, in the December, India will also chair the global counter-terrorism architecture. In December, actually, India will become the president of the UNSC. There India will held this particular thing. So this is, guys, the India's contribution to deal with the terrorism, and even on this particular line a question can be framed. Now you see this particular thing, that right now the world is grappling with COVID-19 pandemic. There is the Russia-Ukraine war is going on, and the entire world organizations are preoccupied with these two challenges also only. The terrorism, the export of terrorism is now not being paid attention. See this particular thing. The global war on terrorism was started majorly by America after the 9/11 attack that was carried into the America. And America said that we will remove the terrorism, and therefore they came to the Afghanistan also, where they stayed for the 20 years. Now what they have done, they have negotiated with the Afghanistan and they have left. Now this global war on terrorism that was there, the name says global war, but actually it was the USA's war for their own specific purposes. Never they have taken the India's concerns in consideration. For example, guys, there was the IC-814 hijacking that happened in 1999. The plane that was bound for the Nepal, it was hijacked, and there the release of certain terrorists was asked. There India said that it is a terrorist matter and India should be given some kind of an assistance, but nothing happened in this particular direction. Then, guys, Pakistan's role is not being Pakistan's role into the terrorism, it is not being dealt very seriously. Pakistan is an ally of the USA, and at the same time Pakistan is the China's iron friend. So many a times Pakistan is accountability has not been done. Moreover, within the UNSC, there is 1267 committee which designates the people, the organizations as the terrorist of international concern. There also India has raised many times the matter that certain terrorist outfit should be recognized as the terrorist of international concern. But there also the Pakistan and China blocks India's attempts. That is something that is happening. Guys, actually only thing where the India got the support was the economic sanctions that were put onto the Pakistan by the Financial Action Task Force. So FATF put the Pakistan in the grey list, as the FATF provided that Pakistan has provided the help for the terror financing. But now what has happened, the Pakistan is even been removed from the FATF grey list. If you remember, last week we have discussed in detail, a lot of detail, that what this FATF grey list was. Fine, that is something that has happened. Then guys, moreover, the future of the counter-terrorism cooperation is also going to be muddied by many other factors. Russia-Ukraine war, for example, that is going on. Now, Russia-Ukraine war, actually, it is itself has become an important issue in which the countries are occupied. Moreover, right now, the polarization of the world is going on. As the polarization is going on, the world is getting divided in the camp of the USA and China, Russia. So in this particular polarization, what is happening, that countries are more concerned as which camp they belong to. Terrorism is not being taken up. Then we find this particular thing, that even the proposals, such as the proposal to have a comprehensive convention on international terrorism, it is not being bypassed. So even the global conventions are not being signed. Now see, when we talk about the CCIT, this was proposed by the India in 1996, because up till now there is no single convention dealing with all dimensions of terrorism. But there is no progress from 1996 up till now. The definition of terrorism is not final, okay, and all such kind of things is not there. Freedom fighter versus a terrorist debate is not clear, because sometimes a person or an organization which might be called as a terrorist organization, it might be freedom fighters for their own people. So these are the issues into the terrorism which has not been discussed. Then guys, the role of emerging technologies and the weaponization, it is also not discussed. For example, today we see the drones. Drones are being used to deliver the funds, drugs, weapons. Okay, this is something where the technologies are playing are having the dual usages, sometimes being used into the wrong purposes. This is something which is not being taken up. So understand this thing, that right now we need to have the global consensus on regulating these technologies to bring a consensus. Okay, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about today, the world is facing challenges at multiple fronts: inequality, hunger, terrorism. And actually terrorism is one very important factor which can exacerbate at all fronts the vulnerabilities of all the countries. So we need to be united and need to see this particular matter more sensitively. Fine. Now, the next article, content moderation through co-regulation. Okay, so this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2, social media regulation. Social media regulation. Okay. Now, actually guys, recently the IT rules 2021 got amended and IT rules 2022 amendment came. We discussed that also, but anyhow, that is the thing that is being discussed in this particular article. So the article simply provides this thing, that when we talk about the social media platforms, Facebook, etc., fine, they have the power to manage the user content, They can take down the content. You have posted something which contains some hateful message, they can take down that particular thing. Moreover, you can also challenge these websites' decision, that why you removed my post, why you removed my video, it was nothing wrong, and they'll review that particular thing. This mechanism exists. Now, actually, this particular mechanism where they'll review your content and you can challenge them, these mechanism existed as a voluntary arrangement. But what happened? Last year, the IT, Information Technology Rules 2021 came. And Information Technology Rules 2021, it provided that now it is mandatory. Every social media intermediary, they need to have a content moderation policy, and if the users are not satisfied with that, if they have removed the post, and if users are not satisfied, they can challenge that particular thing and resolution has to be given. That is something that has happened. Now, what happened just last week? Last week, what happened? Actually, some new amendment has been brought, and government has also provided that apart from making this mandatory, there will also be the grievance appellate committees that will be formed. Now, what are these grievance appellate committees? See, for example, you have written a post on the Facebook removed that post. Now you will challenge that Facebook, why you have removed the post. Facebook will give a reply. If you are not happy with that particular reply or the resolution, where you can go? Earlier there was no mechanism, but now there are these grievance appellate committees where you can go and they will solve that particular matter. Now, the article says that actually guys, the platforms, they have democratized the public participation. Everybody can keep their voices, the concerns. But yes, it is also true that the harms have also increased. Fake information is spreading. So regulating is important. Now in this particular direction, we can take the example of European Unions. We can take the example of the European Union's Digital Service Act. Now the Digital Service Act provides that the intermediaries, the platforms, they are responsible to regulate the content. It provides this particular thing that first of all, they will moderate the content. Clear? If they are failed to moderate, then the government will step. Government will not step at the first point. If they fail, then government will step. And if they think government's directive onto the platform is very harsh, they can even challenge the government's decision to block the content. Okay, they can defend themselves. Fine. Now, actually, guys, the article is talking about that we need to go for the co-regulatory framework. What is co-regulatory framework? Both the government as well as these platforms need to be given the power jointly. Both needs to be given the power to regulate these particular kind of a content. So co-regulation is to be given. Now the co-regulation will have multiple advantages. Number one, platforms will retain reasonable autonomy over their terms of service. Okay, first, when they'll regulate the content, they will have the autonomy. They will not be micro managed. Is it clear or not? Fine. Then guys, understand this particular thing, that see, they are managing, but they know that government is still there. So what will happen? They will manage, but they will not impose private censorship. Private censorship means that they themselves are deciding what is right, what is not right. They will not do that if government is also sitting. But first, give them the responsibility. Now, private censorship might lead to curbing of the fundamental right of speech and expression. So, government's role is important so that private censorship doesn't happen, but at the same time, they also need to be given some autonomy. Second thing is that co-regulation aligns government and platform interest. Actually, both of them want to spread the free information, because guys, the platform's revenue come if more users will use that, and government also wants that the democratization of the freedom of speech and expression should happen. Actually, during the pandemic also, the platforms themselves took measures to tackle disinformation, fake information. So platform also works in this particular time, and government also works. So actually they are aligned, so they should co-regulate. Then third that comes here is that, guys, actually if co-regulatory will be there, then the pressure on the state will be less. State is not equipped to deal with these challenges. These platforms are actually equipped, so they are better equipped, so therefore give them the autonomy to decide. Guys, understand this thing. These are certain ways in which the co-regulation can work. Moreover, it is also being provided that we need to see one more issue also. Often the platforms, they deprioritize the content. Okay, for example, just in a lighter note, fine. Whenever you go and you just type the Hindu newspaper analysis in the search bar without typing thinking palette, you most probably will not get any recommendation of our channel. Okay, so YouTube doesn't prioritizes our channel. There are many other channels, okay, which are having some very sensational content. They are getting prioritized. We never get prioritized. So it has been provided that many a times the deprioritization of the content is done. The platforms, they reduce the visibility of such certain kind of a content. What about this particular thing? There the and users are unaware that their content is not being shown. Okay, they don't understand that why we are not getting such kind of an exposure. So there needs to be an algorithmic transparency. It has been suggested by the article. Okay, if the user's content is getting deprioritized, the users should be able to raise that particular matter also. But anyhow, now the Digital India Act is also being provided, that it will come and it will be replacing the IT Act, and in that the co-regulatory model needs to be adopted. Fine, that is something that has happened. That is all about it. And now we'll move to the next article. After the dust, a clear picture of the Agnipath scheme. Okay, now basically, guys, with respect to the government schemes, the evaluation of government schemes, GS paper number 2, will see this article. Okay, so Agnipath scheme, recently you might have heard that Agnipath scheme was released. Now in the Agnipath scheme, it was provided that the youth between the age of 17.5 to 21 years, they will be enrolled as Agni Veers. Okay, they will enrolled as Agni Veers into the army, navy. Okay, in the basically in the army, navy, air force. So the youth will be enrolled as the Agni Veers between the age of 17.5 to 21 years. Okay, so their service duration will be of 4 years, including the training period. Okay, and guys, at the end they will also be given a Seva Nidhi package of 11.7 lakh rupees. In this Seva Nidhi package, the deduction will be made from their salary and some contribution will be given by the government. Okay, they will also be given the insurance. Okay, Agni Veer skill certificate will be given. 46,000 Agni Veers will be selected. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that whatever Agni Veers will be selected under this Agnipath scheme, 25% of them will be retained after the term of 4 years. This is something that has happened. Okay, so 25% of them will be retained. Now when this Agnipath scheme came, it was criticized a lot. Now the article is saying that the dust has settled, and now again we need to investigate that whether this Agnipath scheme was something for the welfare of the people or not. Now the article is saying that, see, we can always debate, question the government scheme, but we simply should not abandon that thing. We should not go for the status quo. So Agnipath scheme might have certain issues, but it should be settled. We should not completely turn out that thing. Second, the article is talking about that, see, but basically in the Agnipath scheme, very clearly it has been provided that 25% people will be retained. There will be the lateral absorptions into the central armed police force, state police, ministries, that is there. So we need to see that actually there are the good provisions also into the Agnipath scheme. Then guys, the article is also talking about this particular thing, that when we talk about the traditions of the defense forces, they have changed the service condition from time to time. Never the service conditions have been same. So now if they are changing, it is to be seen in the positive light. Then the United Nations report says that India's population is amongst the youngest into the world. Fine. But guys, at the same time, when we talk about the age of our army, it also needs to be young. Fine. So the army people needs to contribute into the army defense forces, and for that particular thing, at such a young age when they are being appointed, it is to be seen in a positive light. So these are, guys, the arguments that have been given. Beyond that, there is not any content in this particular article. So very limited content has been given. Now moving to the next article. Uh, uh, bank pricing risks poorly in gush to get deposit lend more, SBI's Ghosh. Basically, guys, what the article is talking about, see, article is talking about this particular thing, that today the interest rates on which the banks are, the interest rates onto the which the banks are offering the loan, these interest rates are at a particular level. Just I'll show you. For example, the working capital loan are being offered at the rate of 6%. Fine. The loans of 10-15 year period are being offered at 7%. That is something that is happening. So these are the interest on which the loans are being offered. Guys, at the same time, what has happened, you see this particular thing, that the deposits, okay. Now you see this particular thing, that right now the inflation is a very big problem in India. And as inflation has become a big problem in India, today, the government wants to control the inflation, and what the RBI is doing, RBI is going for the tight monetary policy. And in the line of the tight monetary policy, what the Reserve Bank of India has done, Reserve Bank of India is sucking the liquidity, is sucking the money from the economy. And as the liquidity has been sucked, what actually the issue is? Issue is that the bank don't have the funds to give to the loan. Bank don't have the funds to give to the loans. So therefore, bank now need more and more deposit. But the people also don't have money to deposit into the bank because of the pandemic lead economic challenges that came. So actually what is happening, the banks find the prices at which they are asking the deposits, they are giving higher interest rate, and at the same time, the loans that are being given, their interest rate have come down. So the point is that profit margin of the bank, it has declined a lot. And if that particular thing will continue, the bank's viability might be threatened. So the point is that the banks are giving the interest rate at these 6%, 7%, but at the same time, the way the prices at which they are inviting the deposit, it is also increasing because simply they don't have the money. So we need to strike the balance in this particular direction. Is it clear or not? So this is something which is being provided. So this is the SBI chief's viewpoint that has been given. Fine. So this is all about it. You don't need to actually see what the interest rate is all about and all that thing. Then now guys, the Supreme Court order onto the PF pensions. Now this particular article, guys, already we have discussed onto the 5th of November at this particular timestamp 42 minutes, because this judgment of the Supreme Court came. Okay, so rather than going in this particular article, I have explained this particular entire concept along with the features of all the EPF Act, etc. that has come. So I'll recommend you that rather than going in this particular article, you please see this particular video. Your all the concepts will get clarified. Fine. So that is all, guys, about the today's article. And now let's take the mains practice question. So mains practice question for today, it says, internet and social media platforms have turned into potent instruments in the toolkit of terrorist and militant groups for spreading propaganda, radicalization and conspiracies. Critically analyze. Okay. Now this particular article, this particular question will be important for GS2, GS3, particularly the internal security GS3. Okay. So that is all, guys, about the mains practice question. This will be a 10 marker question. So please try to write it. So that is all, guys, about it. And I am planning something very good also for you guys, as I discussed that on the Telegram channel yesterday, and very soon I'll be giving the details also. So thank you everyone, and please take care of yourselves. If you have liked the video,